Hello, ladies and gentlemen. For years, the Indian defense sector has been dominated by defense public sector units which have worked independently, by and large, from private players, both Indian and international. That model, some would say, has had limited success since the true potential of the Indian private sector in India's defense could never be realized. But given the challenges that India faces today, the expanded opportunities now being afforded to Indian and international defense firms, and the transformative potential of public-private partnerships in defense is beginning to show incredible potential. To discuss this with me today, I'm joined by Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadauria, former Chief of Air Staff. Thank you, sir, for joining us. He's also the advisor to UP government on Defense Industrial Corridor. We have Air Vice Marshal N.P. Singh, who is a principal advisor to Bharat Forge Defense and Aerospace. Thank you, sir. And Mr. E.P. Jayadeva, who's Director Operations at Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Thank you so much for joining us on this. Starting with you, Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadauria, sir. We have heard so much about this UP Industrial Defense Corridor. Tell me, how are these different nodes that are connecting UP so essential and critical to building of this corridor, which is not just attracting ventures, joint ventures, but also focusing so much on innovation?
Okay, in UP Defense Corridor, essentially there are 6 nodes. That's Kanpur, Lucknow, Agra, Aligarh, Jhansi, and Chitrakoot. And location-wise, they are well chosen. They are very well connected with some expressway next to each. Each place is connected with the airport. So the connectivity level, the flow of logistics, and the basic essentials are in place. And the government itself is providing rest of the basic infrastructure in terms of road to the boundaries, electricity, water, and the security. The importance of corridor, I think, is when the government decided to make 2, one in UP, one in Tamil Nadu, as you are aware, is to energize this entire sector and bring this essentially the transformative effect of public-private, public-supported private partnership into these sectors. From UP perspective, where we are today, I think we are in good space. Already 41 companies have been allotted land in these 6 places. 3 of these nodes have already run out of land, and we have started phase 2 of land acquisition. So that is the current state. Target is about 25,000 odd crores in terms of 114 odd MOUs already signed, with 41 work started. That means land allotted. So overall, I think with the recent inauguration of ammo factory at Kanpur from Adani's was the first big production unit that has gone into production. Similarly, now all others will come up over the next year. I think important is now to not only look at large companies and populate the MSMEs and startups around it so that they can be supported. So that's our focus area. Bring the large players, bring a ring of MSMEs and smaller companies next to it, and build an ecosystem that can be supported.
Right. Air Vice Marshal N.B. Singh, you've also partnered with Indian Army and DRDO on the manufacture of ATACMS guns, and something that people have been talking about. Tell us about your experience of it, and also how does it work to create a world-class weapon of this kind?
Yeah, the journey with DRDO was really, really excellent. You see, a journey of 1,000 miles, even if you run a patch of rough road for 5-6 kilometers and still you reach the destination, the journey is said to be very excellent in every form. This has really brought a rich dividends to Bharat Forge, to DRDO, as well as to the nation. I just explain you how it happened. You see, initially when we started this process of thinking of doing a partnership for the artillery units, the first thing was that we had to create infrastructure, specific requirements to the artillery guns. Because yes, we had one plant that was with the ordnance factories for the barrel manufacturing. There was no other plant. So a specific infrastructure which was required for the artillery system, which was created. And today this has become a national asset, because if you calculate any national power for any nation, then the industrial base, which can be utilized at the time of war for the military purpose or for the production of military platforms and equipment, it considered a very vital parameter. Right. And that's what Bharat Force has done it, right. Created the infrastructure. Secondly, the indigenous production of such a weapon system reduces the dependence on import, and thus it gives you a jump on your self-reliance. That's what happened. Thirdly, when such weapon system or platforms are manufactured in great numbers, which is required for the country, huge country like India, which has got a very big borders, then there is a lot of job opportunities which are created. And this also stimulates the economic growth. And finally, it results in the national development. Right. This has given a lot of technological advancement, or can say knowledge, to Bharat Force in the whole journey as such, because we had to create infrastructure, we had to skill our manpower to the required job, we had to really put the international standards for the quality, as well as we have to comply with various international standards to come up to the requirement of the DRDO as well as for the production facilities.
Right.
This.
Mr.
Finally,
yes.
I just come, last point, which is there on this. Finally, this project has put India as well as Bharat Force in the world map. Today, we are competing with all the established players in the world market for export, and we have already achieved success in that. So that gives a very satisfying result to all of us, and it gives a pride as an Indian to us.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Jayadeva, when we talk about partnerships, which we've been doing right now, HAL has a lot to boast about. You know, you've had with Dynamatic, Samtel, General Electric. Would you consider Tejas as one of the successful case studies, when you talk about PPP models?
Yeah, definitely. LCA has been showcasing the private-public partnerships in India as such. Say the whole of aircraft, if you break down into, say, airframe and LRUs and engine, if you see, the more or less the airframe was designed by HAL, and the rest of the things have been designed by HAL as well as many private industries, which are supplying almost 30% to 40% of the LRUs which is sitting on the aircraft. And we are sourcing all these LRUs also from them right now. And in future also, when it happens, when we happen to get further orders, definitely all these private sectors, industries will be with us. And LCA is a true test case where private-public partnership can be showcased.
Right. Air Chief Marshal Bhadauria, sir, despite all this, India still remains one of the highest importers of weapons. In very simple terms, can you explain to us how critical it is to move away from this model, even though sometimes or often it may actually be more expensive to manufacture our own weapons?
I think it's absolutely critical, absolutely. To become self-reliant, I think Atmanirbhar is the target. So, why it is important is very clear. We have spent about 6 decades in our previous licensed manufacturing kind of regime, and we got trapped so badly in it that we never stepped out or we never ventured out. Now, last 10 years have been absolutely transformative. So we have seen the result of that in terms of policy changes, in terms of enabling the private sector to come in, and really changed the entire ecosystem in defense and aerospace production. We are still far away from Atmanirbhar. A lot of progress has taken place in terms of make in India, but I think the crux lies now in concentrating on the R&D aspect. And we have to really get to design in India and then make in India. I think that differentiation now needs to be brought in. And that is only possible when, like in the previous session also, it was touched upon and focused upon. When you really involve the startups, that is where technology innovation and new technology generation. So the big private players need to bring them into the loop of technology development, And PSUs and all the private players involved should help Indian technology to scale up and productionize and get into our systems. Unless you have control, you become an integrator and you have a large component of your own technologies into that system, be it whatever, weapon system or aircraft. That is when we'll become kind of self-reliant. You've seen what happens when there is a war conflict scenario, Russia, Ukraine, you see our supply chains, how badly got interrupted. Overall, in the time to come, if you have to face China, this target of self-reliance is absolutely essential.
Right.
So I think whether we should be there, there is no doubt at all. It is only a question of how fast we should go, and all energy should be towards design and development is my focus.
So taking this forward, Air Vice Marshal N.B. Singh, so one of the areas where Bharat Forge has been offering solutions to the Indian Armed Forces is infantry mobility through high-end mine-protected vehicles. Does this have the potential of reducing India's dependence on imports?
Yes, certainly it has. And it has the full potential for reducing the dependence on the import as well as, and it has got export potential also. How I would say, just explain you how it is important to reduce the import and how this program has started. You see, Indian Army operates in a very diverse terrain. So when we started designing and developing this vehicle, we had to take feedback from them, what are the requirements which are so far the terrain is concerned. And secondly, we also went through to suit their operational requirements as such. Okay, what are the operational scenarios they are going to encounter in those terrain areas, so that we could build specific to meet the exact requirement of the army. And I'm happy to inform that we have achieved that. In addition to that, I would also to tell you that its construction is very, very robust, because it has to be mine protected, it has to be bullet protected on various weapon systems which are there, which can be fired, and we have to protect our personnel as well as the equipment inside. So it is very robust construction. This was possible because Bharat Forge is a specialist so far as alloys is concerned. We know how to give much bigger strength to the alloys and what are the various techniques to increase their strength. And that's why it has been used, so that vehicle has become very rugged and the survivability in adverse conditions have been achieved. That's what it's the main function of that. Next is that we also support it. So far maintenance is concerned, is availability at front areas, availability at the locations which are the border locations. We are supporting them through and through, so that the availability for ops readiness is always maintained. And this has got a very, very another unique feature that's got adaptability. You see, the mission requirement for the army, our Air Force, anything, it can change any time. Sometimes requirement is more personnel, lesser ammunition. Sometimes requirement is more ammunition and lesser personnel, whatever it is there. So they have to adjust according to that. So this design and configuration is very adaptable to that. And that's how we could meet the exact requirement of the army. And it has certainly, I can say, is reduced the requirement of import quite a bit.
Right. Mr. Jayadeva, taking off from there, one of the key concerns for HAL, I understand, is to also speed up the manufacture of Tejas and other forms of aircraft, LCH. What is the potential of hiving off a part of production to private players?
See, we have gone are the days when HAL used to be vertically integrated, and then we used to do up to the last nut and bolt. If you take 50 years back, if you go back 50 years back, gone are those days now. See, you take any project which is currently ongoing at HAL, there is a signature of n number of private industries into that. So during the last 2 decades, it used to be through manufacture, like outsourcing of manufacture, print, build to print sort of a concept we used to have. But now we are moving into design of even systems also, systems and LRUs, we are moving into that. Okay, having said that, now coming to the capacities and then rate of production of LC and other helicopter platforms, what we are looking at. There also we have a lot of partners working with us. Instead of naming the people, instead of naming the industries, I can tell you, we have partners working with us on the build of LCA wings, LCA front fuselage, rear fuselage. We have broken down into three or four major parts, including the fin and rudder, where we get it sourced from different private industries. So it's integration of all the industries within India, which is getting into LCA, build-up of LCA. So it's already there, and then we would like to take this forward in our other future programs also, like our IMRH, Indian Multi-Role Helicopter, where we are looking for partners right from the beginning, where they'll do the prototype build, and they'll, for example, what happened in LCA was, we used to design, and then we used to build up with the DRDO and HAL partnership, we used to design and then build. Now we are looking at design of systems and airframe also from private industries. Otherwise, programs of such huge potential, probably it will be very, I don't say difficult, but we can reduce the time to induction. Now services wants us to induct all these platforms at a very faster rate within, say, 5 to 6 years.
Right.
So if you have to achieve such shorter time to induction time frames, definitely we need a lot of partners working with us.
Right.
And private industry definitely comes in bringing their efficiency and others, infrastructure and other things. Definitely we look forward to working with them. And definitely HAL has plans to involve private sector in a big way in all our future projects.
Air Chief Marshal Bhadauria, sir, 3 weeks ago I heard UP Chief Minister talk so much about jobs. He said that the UP Industrial Defence Corridor will actually end up creating thousands of jobs. Tell us how key or important is this generation of jobs, when it comes to defence and PPP models?
No, I think with the establishment of Defence Corridor, the generation of jobs would be a very important element. In fact, in the initial portion itself, we look at what kind of investment is being put by the companies who are asking to get established, and what kind of job content, job opportunities would come up. So far, with the current plan of action, which is already in place, we are talking of 40,000 plus job opportunities. What is already being established, already 10,000 plus has already crossed. That will come up. So I think equally important is the skill development. Part of the defense corridor, the MSME department sponsored one common facility center is coming up in Jhansi. There are 2 more we are planning, which would be private sector kind of led as a common facility center. Also, UP government policies on education and skill development are really getting transformed. So the locally available skill sets across the spectrum, that means the high end, at the design end, the research specialist, then at the technician level. So the complete skill sets will be available locally within the UP government, within the state, for the UP corridor industry to capitalize upon. That is a very important aspect, and I think that's going to happen.
Right.
So it's a very important aspect of the corridor
jobs,
development.
yeah. Air Vice Marshal NB Singh, one of the concerns that many manufacturers seem to have is the speed of placing orders. Do you think this commitment to Atmanirbhar that we've all been talking about, and the government has also been showing a lot of commitment to, do you think that will end up in speedier orders, that also may lead to the business becoming more viable?
Yes, the speed of order after development trials and should be quick, because if the time gap between the development and deployment is shorter, the services gets an edge over the adversaries. This is number one. Second thing is they are operational ready to take on any evolving threat which are coming up. And third thing, it gives them a strategic advantage also to gain the battlefield superiority, because you see, when new equipment or new weapon system is inducted in the forces, the specifications and the capabilities are not known to the adversaries. And that time you have an advantage. So if this is delayed, then you lose that advantage. This is so far the services are concerned. So far the industry is concerned, yes, because industry has been waiting, develop the equipment, weapon systems for so long. They have, and the trial period is for the armed forces in the context of the Indian context is approximately 2 to 3 years. So once you have gone through all those trials, then you have invested a lot of money, so for manpower and everything, then the industry needs that it should be done on the fast track. This is the one. And if we are able to do that, then industry will be able to plan their production in due course of time. They can plan their resources. They can plan, they skill the manpower which is required for the job as such, and they will be able to supply the equipment in time to the forces.
Mr. Jayadeva, given the strategic importance of Atmanirbharta, what changes do you anticipate in the procurement policies? How should they be revised to prioritize fast tracking of projects?
See, one of the major initiative we would like to look at is, for example, fast tracking. Basically, what happens, okay, I'll come back to LCA as such. See, we started with the production of 20 numbers in the initial production run. Then we got an order for another 20. Then we got a huge order for 83. See, what happens is, once we get this visibility on such numbers, the industry will be favorable to this, and then supply chain will kick in, and then you will have a lot of efficiencies, and then production rates will be ramped up without any hesitation. So if these numbers are upfront intimated or sort of a letter of intent or such things, then industry, both private as well as public sector, we would be happy to upscale our infrastructure. And then that will help us in efficient supply chains, and also production timelines will be reduced, and then we can ramp up the production and then induct the aircraft or platforms at a faster rate. So now definitely we have support from the government on this front. We got a 4 squadron numbers of LCA at one go, and then we are also looking at another 97. It's a big number. So such huge numbers definitely will give visibility for the production runs. And both the private sector also probably will be looking for such indications with assured sort of offtake. Definitely this is one initiative which will aid the industry in defense.
Just to wrap this up, Air Marshal R.K.S. Bhadauria, sir, many policymakers have pointed out that Atmanirbharta in defense is the right way forward. But unless we create enabling conditions, it might remain a pipe dream. So I'd like to ask this to both of you. What do you think is the future of PPP model, and what are the proactive changes that this sector or this model needs to see?
I think future is how we take this transformation. I think very important now is to see all the enabling mechanism and policy support from the government is already in place. Whether you talk of public-private partnership, collaborative approach, TPSUs and private sector working together. So that has to, now we have to start walking the talk. There's a lot of difference between, making what we are saying in seminars and supporting this at all levels. But if you see the ground reality today, we need to now convert it into ground realities. That would happen when private sector increasingly is getting the contracts straight away. That would happen when the technology is indigenously developed by our startups and they get supported by our own people, own industry, be it private sector or DPSUs. And that would happen when our own people are investing into startups. At the moment in the startup regime, half the investments are coming from foreign investors. Right. So we have to, I think, start walking the talk, and although the trajectory is positive, It is slow at the ground level.
Right.
That is the crux. The second issue, I think, is to concentrate on technology development, which I covered earlier, and look at the future. Don't get stuck in legacy systems and making the current better. The future is on drones, UCAVs,
Right.
manned unmanned teaming. Your cyber and space was talked about, very important. AI embedded in this. So that aspect we have to start working now. The industry would need to take a lead in this, and that again, technology development in these areas would become critical. If we keep waiting for services to put orders in this, it will take time. Even services are grappling with what should be our future weapons. By the time that comes out, if the technology development doesn't happen, we would take another 5 years. So we need to do this in parallel. So there has to be industry investment into these futuristic, domains now, and automatically in time to come, this will match up with service, orders coming. So I think these are the focus areas,
Right.
as far as I can think.
Right. So your last word.
Yeah, in my opinion, first of all, this public-private partnership has been existing since long. It's not a new phenomenon. Like when I was a director BDL and looking after the Akash project, we had 78 vendors. And some of the very big, like L&T was one of my vendor who was making the motors for the missile. And Godrej was another vendor. And there were small MSMEs also. But that time, nobody talked about, because it was not a big phenomenon. But today, media's attention has been caught on this basic focus. This means there has been uplift in the future of it, and the future is very, very bright. Why? See, the government's focus on indigenization as well as self-reliance is there and is going to be there for a long time. And this is the only way to bring up the change in our environment. Therefore, now we have to harness the available infrastructure which is available in the private sector and their capabilities to foster innovation as well as to make the world-class addition in their infrastructure so that we can compete with the world. Today, we are not going to make the weapon system only for India. We have to make in India for the world. And that's the motto, we have to follow it. And this can be done only with the help of the private industry.
Right.
Now, there are certain challenges also. You see, the expenditure on R&D by the private industry, barring very few of them, is very, very little. This has to increase, this is number one. And second thing is they have to adopt various quality systems as well as the standards which are international in nature. They have to start working on that from day one. So for the policy changes, which I recommend sitting outside and working with the industry, I feel that what a Ministry of Defense has to do that, they have to incentivize the expenditure which private industry is doing on the R&D.
Right.
This must be incentivized, and if we achieve, we are able to overcome these challenges, then I think we will be. The future is very, very promising. And why not? If you see the public-private partnership in other sectors like road, civil infrastructure, ports, and power, it has flourished. Why not in defense sector?
Right.
And with this, I think it's very, very clear that is private industry is going to participate in full, and this model will certainly gain momentum in years to come.
Thank you, Air Vice Marshal. So DPSUs in India have for long had the innovation and also technology and also scale, but the private sector is the one that has shown agility and also commitment to speed. Maybe the success lies in a combination of both of these. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay with us for more sessions. Thank you so much.